All right. Welcome everyone to the Psychic Fair for September of 2020. I am Cassandra in San Antonio, Texas.
And I'm Lynda from Budapest in Hungary, originally from the UK.
All right. So September, it's kind of exciting, I guess. I hope. Lynda's moving. I want a new house, but I'm not moving. So we got a lot going on. So Lynda, do you want to pull a card for us for this psychic fair? And then I'll pull one too, but you pull one, then I'll pull one.
I'll pull one from my oracle this time, rather than from the tarot deck that I have, the Chalice Tarot deck. And the card I've pulled is called Scorch. Interesting card. Getting closer to light can purify as well as burn. So I don't know if you can put that on the thing or whether I should just show you.
I can put it on card cam. Hold on.
I think that's best.
All right, so I'm switching to card cam. All right, hold on, let me find it.
So it's Scorch, beginning with S.
Okay, there it is.
That's
right
it.
There. Okay, so it says getting closer to its light can purify as well as burn, as you said.
Yeah.
So do you have any added wisdom for us on that one?
Yes, I think that that sometimes sometimes the cards can be more revealing than is comfortable in some cases. Some cases it can be painful, but it's not painful exactly, but you think, oh yes, that is what I need. And therefore it's now, as it's September, which as we're going through Virgo at the moment, we're going through a very purifying kind of sign. And we're looking to throw out, well, it's a bit of a truism in a lot of modern thought at the moment. We have to throw out all the rubbish that doesn't serve us in order to allow new and better things to come into our lives. So you might well recognize, for example, that we need to clean up our act in certain cases. We need to become more efficient, or we need to develop in this area or that area. Or we need simply to throw a lot of old stuff out so that we can get lots of new in. So out with the old, in with the new, so to speak. And so having more of an insight can be quite, can show up where all the faults are, so to speak, where the problems are. But that's also very good, because then we can improve ourselves in that situation. Does that make sense to you?
That does make sense to me, very much so. Okay, so I will pull a card. So as you can see, I've got my cards in piles today. So pick a number between 1 and 4, and I'll pick from that pile.
3.
All right, picking from pile number 3. All right, and we have the Magician. Didn't the Magician come up last time? I don't know. Maybe that was someone's reading, but it seems like it came up last time. Okay, so yeah. So we can make magic this month if we attend. Huh?
Definitely.
Yes. If we attend to the message with the Scorch, with the whole Virgo thing of paying attention to the details and cleaning out and getting down to business, I think we can make magic this month. Those two cards look nice next to each other.
Yes, they do.
That turned out well.
Actually, too, over here anyway, I don't know what it's like where you are. It's been a very hot weekend. So well into the heat wave range of heat. And it's been beautiful.
We switched. We switched. It's been super hot, and it finally cooled off and started raining. So. Yep. So you may be scorching.
Yeah. It has been quite scorching, very hot, but it's just been pleasant walking between the two flats and taking things in. And but yeah, I've been doing an awful lot of throwing out and cleaning and such like. So I don't particularly like the idea of taking lots of dirty things into the flat. So I'm throwing out things I don't want anymore, keep retaining what's important. and maybe replacing older things with new things. So it's very relevant to my situation, definitely.
Yes. Nice. Nice. All right. So I guess I'll go over the let me come back here. I'm coming back. Okay, I'll go over the agenda with everyone, and let's see. I don't remember where I put my PowerPoint last time. Oh no. Let me just share this screen. I'll figure out the PowerPoint later. Okay, so we pulled a card. We're going to do some readings throughout the show for those people who sent in reading questions. Then we're going to talk about this book, The Library of Esoterica. Lynda's going to get us started on the journey of the Fool. I'm going to give us a tarot spell. Lynda has a tarot spell book to share with us. And then, like I said, the readings are sprinkled throughout. So, okay. Oh, so I am on my PowerPoint. That's weird. I don't know how I did that. But that works. However that happened, it works. Okay. All right. So I'm going to stop the share. All right. So let's do a question. Okay. So I've got this up here on Facebook. Where did all my comments go? Okay. So I'm going to pick one at random here. Okay, so I'm going to start off with you, Lynda. And this is from Shubangi. I want to know about my son's study and career. And I'll switch to card cam while you're pulling.
Right, so card number 1, I've got Splatter.
Okay.
That's the immediate. And then the next card I've pulled is The Way Forward.
Okay, got it.
Card number 3, let me find one, is Hiatus.
All right. There you go.
And put together, these 3 cards make something of a story. Let's start with Splatter. Splatter, out of random events come new perspectives, a new pattern emerges. And it could be, in this case, that your son is a little bit, a little bit all over the place. Maybe he has difficulties concentrating. Maybe he tends to start a lot of things and not finish them. He needs to be able to see the thread that pulls them all together, and then I think he will keep his interest for more. But obviously, quite a bright sort of person, just a little bit scattered maybe. And the way forward out of all this, we've got during a lull, the way forward becomes clear, and it's time to act. And this could be making a decision about which of all these interests would be the one closest to his heart, the one that is likely to keep his attention and inspiration going. If it's not something he likes, if there's no reward in it, then he will lose motivation quite quickly. But we got Hiatus coming up now. Now the message with Hiatus is that fresh invigoration may be found in a moment of stillness. So if by any chance it's still uncertain about which way he wants to go and which way forward to go, sometimes it's through letting go and not thinking about it, not for too long, but for a short while, that you come on track again, and then you realize, yes, this is where it's at, this is where I want to be, this is where I want to go. But I think the main issue here is that it's a question of knowing where his real interests really lie, where he really, in order to know where to go forward. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, that does to me. That does to me. Very interesting. That one. And this splatter card's awesome. That one's look at that. That's cool. All right. Thank you, Lynda. Okay, so do you want to move forward with the journey of the fool?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
So we know that the tarot pack, well, the tarot is a type of oracle, except of course it's a very specific type of oracle. So we know that the tarot has 78 cards all in all, whereas the normal pack of cards that we play with has 52 packs. And but not only that, it's got 22 cards forming the major arcana or the trump. These are the big cards. When we see these big cards in a reading, we know that there's a lot of important things afoot. And it's called the journey of the fool because the fool, if you like, is the so-called everyman. It's every one of us who is starting out from a path towards wherever the fool wants to go, and experiencing some great adventures along the way. And to begin with, of course, we know that the fool is about to fall, and it's a necessary fall because without this fall, the fool would never be able to go forward. So it's also got a 0 number, which means that the fool is even more special as a card, because at any moment we could be the fool looking for our map, finding our way in order to get the sense of direction that we need. So as we know, the fool is appearing to do something completely impossible at the moment. He's about to fall onto the cliff. And what does that fool represent? Well, we say that according to the Gnostics, the idea is that it's a fall into matter. It's not like the fall in the Adam and Eve story where Adam and Eve are naughty boys and so therefore get punished ever after for their curiosity. It's like a fall of forgetfulness. And after this happens, the fool ends up in a bewildering world where he or she has to find their way again, a bit like Humpty Dumpty trying to put himself together. So the original unity, the original circle, that sense of infinite energy is lost. And then the fool finds himself in a world of bewildering rules and regulations and conflict and not knowing which way to go. And the fool has to find his way back to its original sense of unity, which is lost. The fool also has a great role in medieval times. The jester in the court of kings was the only person who could safely say what everybody else didn't dare say without being executed. So the fool was able to infuse a lot of wisdom with his crazy, clownish, crackpot ideas. And so that's the fool. There's something else that comes to mind, but it's going to come back to me. To begin with, in medieval times, I have a suspicion that the fool and the magician might have been even one card at one time, because the battleur in the original tarots is also something of a mountebank, an entertainer, going from place to place, performing his or her tricks to the excitement of the audience. But then the ideas became more refined, and the magician is like the original initiate, making the first steps towards the great work, so to speak. And in the picture you can see that they're images of all the 4 elements. So there's the sword representing air, there's a wand, he's holding the wand in his hand representing fire, the primal energy. There's the cup representing water, the element of water in astrology. And then there's the pentacle or the coin, which is the material world. And the magician is making these very first steps. and his white clothes represent his innocence and purity of intention. And the sun behind him is also a symbol of enlightenment.
Do you need to get some water?
Yes.
Okay, all right. I'll do a reading while you're gone.
Yes, please.
All right. Remove the book. Okay, so there is a reading request. All right, so Raven asks, my questions are simple yet complicated. Who am I really? What is my purpose here? Will I ever find my answer that I am seeking? Okay, so let me get my cards. So this is an oracular reading using tarot cards. I believe Robert M. Place came up with this reading, except I changed it a little bit from how he does it. So for Raven says, who am I really? What is my purpose? Will I ever find the answer that I am seeking? So Raven, your message is from the King of Swords. So the King of Swords is the master of logic and the mind. And he is talking about giving and receiving in equal shares while making magic, you find love. So that is a powerful message for you, Raven, from the King of Swords. So who you are really is a magician, and your purpose is to give and receive equally. And when you do that, you will find love. So that's how you know when you found the answer that you are seeking, is when you experience that love, which comes from giving and receiving in equal measure. So that was a good one. That's a powerful one. All right. So Lynda is not back yet.
Yes.
Oh, she is back. Okay. All right. Okay, so we were talking about the magician. Let me get my cards put away here.
Interesting. He came up just as I was talking about him then.
Yeah. And we forgot to introduce the book. I was like, I'm going to introduce the book first since we used it, but I didn't do it. So just people, by the way, this book is called the Library of Esoterica. They have a bunch of publications. This one is called Tarot. Lynda turned me on to it. A couple of Lynda's cards are in it. I ordered it. I got it really fast. I was surprised because it's a European publication, but obviously they have publishing rights, publishing house, whatever. I don't know how publishing works here in the States, and I got it in a matter of days after I ordered it. It's an awesome book. I wish I had this when I was trying to learn tarot, because when you see all the different images, it really, I feel like it helps you get a grip on what's going on with the major arcana cards, because they can be a bit elusive, to say the least. So continue.
Okay, so I was talking about the magician as being starting the adventure of the great work, and it's about the purity of intention to find the way. So the magician, in traditional to begin with, had a lot of similarities with the fool to begin with, although he's differentiated a great deal at the time into a powerful archetype in his own right. But as a mountebank, as a conjurer, he was also an entertainer, and of course we are wowed by the kind of entertainer who appears to have a sense of real magic and can perform tricks in front of us, and we don't know how they did it. But I think Jung talked about the archetype too of the trickster, and there's a sense that certainly the fool, and perhaps the magician too, have a way of surprising us and shaking us out of our perceptions of what life is all about. But to begin with, and also the magician particularly is about self-mastery. So I find this is a card that turns up for somebody who's learning to drive, for example, or learning an important skill for the very first time and getting a sense, I can do this. That's the power of the magician. And of course, as number 1, again, that's a very pure number. Now, it's paired with the number 2 coming up next, the High Priestess. And the High Priestess comes from a very interesting medieval myth again, that there was a brilliant young student who worked his way up the ladder, so to speak, of the world of papery, and became a pope. So his learning was so great, his understanding of the mysteries was so great, that this was recognized and became a pope. Except that one day during an important procession, he suddenly came doubled up in pain, and it was turned out that the Pope was in fact a woman, a popess, and her name was Pope Joan. And whether or not that story is true, it says something, I think, about the cultural neuroses of the time, so to speak. So Christianity is a very patriarchal religion, but the Pope Joan figure was giving more of a voice to the divine feminine, which is also very important. The Gnostics saw her as being important. This was the divine Sophia, who, a bit like the magician actually, also makes a catastrophic fall into matter, becomes enslaved by it, and then finds her way out of it, and also offers the way out for other people. So whereas the magician is fairly, well, I'd say either Sun or Mercury in its symbolism, the priestess is very much more of a lunar card, and she is she has the key to the mystery, so to speak, the key to our inner understanding of different things. And in practice, for a long time, I must say that I wasn't sure what symbolism the priestess had outside the 4 queens. But now, in fact, I do. I think the priestess refers to anybody who has the feeling, and it could be, of course, delusions of grandeur, that they have some special understanding, some kind of hotline to the to higher levels of understanding. And such a person could be some kind of female guru type, or they could be somebody who channels important mysteries, or it could be an artist or musician. But the priestess very much is somebody who feels that, rightly or wrongly, that they have a special connection with important areas of perception that most of us don't have. That's the High Priestess.
Nice.
Following on from the priestess, we have another female archetype, and this is the Empress. And the Empress shows a mature figure in luxurious clothes on a throne of some kind. Sometimes she might or might not be rather more traditional than that, or more primitive than that. So she's often perceived as being pregnant, for example. So this is the fruitfulness of life, very Taurian sort of a card in a way, and obviously with a strong connection to Venus. But it could be that this again is a split from the divine feminine. The priestess and the Empress are 2 manifestations. And the Empress in the old days, in the Paleolithic times, was a figure that was venerated clearly from the images that remain to us now, pictures of the divine and mature and very fertile female image. And in the matriarchal times, there was this worship of the Great Mother. So a relatively peaceful time, although there are commentators who also believe that there were often bloody male sacrifices made at the same time. But that was the period, that was the Empress anyway. And going on from that, and perhaps an evolution or non-evolution, is the Empress, is the Emperor. And the Emperor could be the stage in human consciousness, if you like, where they started to develop city-states and to farm the land and to create power structures, and often involving, and this time again, a much more patriarchal image. Patriarchy supplanted matriarchy. Perhaps also it was a refinement in thinking and in manipulating matter and materials in a certain way. And the emperor is also about control, and perhaps also refers to people who exert power in situations now. Yes, that's an excellent looking emperor there. I love his...
Does he look familiar?
These are superb endowments, but but yes, it's male power, so to speak, and that's what the emperor is all about. I'm in the pack I made, I created him with riot shields and police and such like. And in the world of realpolitik, we must remember that power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. There's always a danger that the emperor could be a controller, a dictator of the worst kind. That's my feeling about the emperor. But I think it's something that is always potentially there in that archetype. And unfortunately...
We don't know about that in the United States. We have no idea what you're talking about. We're so divorced from that.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure you are. We've got some certain interesting people there, certain interesting people running things in Hungary too. So, so yes, there's a lot of it about anyway. Now, we saw that the priestess so far is alone, but when we move on from the emperor, we go on to the next card, and the consorts, if you like, or perhaps somebody who in time becomes more dominant, the hierophant or the guru. And so in Christianity, we always had a pope. There was no such thing as a pope-ess. So it's unthinkable, the idea that there is a spiritual authority that could be feminine. And so that's where the hierophant comes in. It's a spiritual authority. And there's, again, the Pope could be a figure which, who possesses a great deal of power. And of course, there's all the power struggles behind the throne to reach this venerated position of being the Pope. But everybody had to bow down to both the Pope and the Emperor. If you didn't, you were a traitor. So until recently, the laws of treason always were that if you questioned authorities, you could be in a great deal of trouble. And my feeling about the tarot is that there's a great deal of Gnostic thought behind it. And the Gnostics never really believed that temporal authorities, even those who call themselves spiritual authorities, could really have any great understanding of any possible mysteries beyond that. So again, there's that element of power with the Hierophant, the Emperor. And even as a guru, we know that, again, unfortunately, too many gurus we learn do end up, I don't know, seducing their followers, abusing their followers, 19 Rolls Royces while their initiates go, well, while the people following them have nothing and have very little to eat, and so on. So to my mind, these two cards particularly talk about our positions of power, but not necessarily always from a 100% good point. Having said that, we all need an expert or a guru at some point. So, so it might be better if their power is provisional, but nevertheless, we all need to be able to accept when we don't know enough about something. It's a sign of hostility. If you are the kind of person who says, I went to this expert and then you know nothing more than me, that's a classic sign of hostility. Well, the person who has given you this information has probably trained for years on end learning this. And it's impossible that you would know more than they do. But anyway, these are cards that perhaps also refer to the original parents of the magician, who is on, or the fool, who is on their way to find their way to source. And after this card, what comes in next? Well, we have the Lovers, I believe. And I hope I'm counting okay.
Yes.
And that's an interesting card because we see the Lovers is all about Well, finding love. And so if you are romantic, you will be a very happy person indeed to find lovers. But in fact, the lovers is often more about making the very first choice of your adult life. That is not necessarily everything about what your parents tell you is correct. So in the traditional tarot, there's a young man surrounded with two women, and one is an older woman, perhaps his mother or a mentor, and the other is the young girl that he quite fancies at the time. And the parents in that situation may be right. This young girl may not be suitable for years to come. Marriages are a contract which often has very little to do with romance. But in fact, when the lovers turn up, it's more about making the right choice and finding the right way forward. Although in reality, again, the lovers can simply be about the lovers and finding the right match for you. But many psychologists find that when they have a client, or for that matter, tarot readers, the person is saying, well, who is right for me? Is it this person who can offer me security, or is it that person who has a great sense of fun, but maybe not quite so much security? Choices. And that's the lovers. Moving on from the lovers. And as you can see, again, there's some excellent illustrations there that you can see.
Yeah.
We go on to the Chariot. And now for me, this card often turns up when I'm trying to find work. A few years ago, I was self-employed, trying to find clients to work for, or language schools to be subcontracted to. And the Chariot almost always turned up, often linked with the Ace of Coins. So in tarot, by the way, often cards can pair up. But the Chariot traditionally shows a charioteer controlling two horses, maybe one black. And I think in Plato, the two horses refer to the lower and higher selves, or rather the id, and the superego, the person who says you should do this and you should do that, and has a sense of rules, a conscience, if you like. And the card, paradoxically, and I'm looking at the picture that's turning on the right there, is linked to the sign Cancer. And to my mind, a young adult, is this when you start a new profession or start a new trade, you have to develop the tricks of the trade and develop a persona that people see as acceptable. And to my mind, when you go forward in life, you have to put on a front, so to speak. You have to show that you are confident. You have to show that you know what you're doing. And in that way, you get the drive and the energy to move forward. And that is the Chariot. So an interesting and complex card anyway. But it's very much about setting out in life and finding your way. And following on, yes, there's some more interesting images of the Chariot.
There's a lot in this book, a lot.
Yeah. But now when we get to the Rider-Waite pack, there is always a change. In the earlier versions of tarot, justice follows on from the lovers, but Rider-Waite reversed that and decided to go instead for strength. Because he thought that the Cancer stage obviously should be followed on by Leo. And we all know that the traditional image of strength is of a young girl holding open the mouth of a lion. And so the strength is about a further mastery of energies and about finding your inner strength. But that's not enough. The strength has to be harnessed, rather than allowed just to run amok, so to speak. The idea is, I suppose, Freud thought that we all have a monster of the id inside us who just wants to take what we want in a very selfish kind of a way, and eat what we want, perhaps fairly gluttonous, and that has to be controlled anyway. So the young girl controls the energy of the lion. In my original pack, actually, I chose the image of a mountaintop with the sun behind it, symbolizing courage. And actually, to my mind, the most important message of strength is about, here is a situation that tests your courage in particular. Perhaps it's the ability to maintain self-control in stressful situations, and to keep your temper certain in situations. That rather goes in with the traditional symbolism as well. As you can see, again, the young girl holding the lion.
That's Tina Turner.
Yeah. But it could also, again, be about the recognition that animals have a kind of a spirituality that we fail to recognize in nature. When we dream about animals, we might be afraid of the lion or the tiger or the bull in our dreams. But when we learn not to be afraid of it, but to develop a relationship, we develop great shamanic strength from that. And so this card could also be a recognition of our shamanic potential. I'm afraid my voice is breaking up again.
Do you want to go get a drink?
But again, these images hopefully provide the right kind of food for thought.
All right. So, did you have anything? Do you want to go get a drink, or?
Yes, please.
All right. I'll do a reading while you're gone.
Okay, then.
Okay, so we have another question. All right, so Caroline McNeil says, I'd like to buy a home in another country. Can this dream come true? This is for Caroline. McNeil wants to buy a home in another country. Can this dream come true? Okay, so Caroline, your message is from the Knight of Wands. So the Knight of Wands loves to take action and loves to go on adventures. And so the Knight of Wands is saying that, okay, so he's talking about working with other people. This particular card in this particular deck, this Three of Pentacles, it looks exactly like a traffic light to me. It looks like a traffic light. So I think it's saying, you know, working with other people with the right timing. And we're talking about deep transformation. So if this dream were to happen, this is part of a deep transformation for you. And we end with the Success card. So I would say, yes, you could actually have a home in another country. While working with other people, while deeply transforming yourself and probably the people that you're working with, and we end with success. So that is my answer for Caroline McNeil. And it looks like Lynda's back.
Hello.
Hello. All right, let me get my cards put away. Okay. All right.
Yeah, unfortunately, the cleaning, all the things I'm doing today, moving things, is releasing a great deal of dust, and I'm extremely allergic to certain things in the house, and so it's not helping at all. So that's one of the reasons why I want to move anyway, because I was told all of 10 years ago that I should move to a place that is less dusty, and hopefully this new place will be less dusty. So we finished off with strength. Sorry, go on.
No, go ahead. I said I hope so too. I hope your next place is less dusty.
Yeah, it should be. So anyway, looking at the strength card, there was something that I was talking about before when we chatted over the cards last week, that I think there's a very shamanistic message to the strength card, that an important part of self-development is to develop a creative relationship with our animal side, so to speak. And often having relationships with animals can be extremely therapeutic. Most of us, I think, make it with cats and dogs around the lions, though. Talking of
Yes.
animals, there she is.
Oh, hello. He's so nice.
So I think we decided today to go up to strength. Is that right?
Yes, that is correct. That is correct.
So next week I'll start talking about the next series of cards from the Hermit on to Justice, and perhaps as far as the Hangman and Death, but we'll see about that anyway.
Yeah.
So anyway, the journey of the Fool to begin with is like the Fool makes his fall and becomes fragmented, and the Magician is the very slow path towards a greater stage of integration and greater insight and understanding, as we will see when we look through some more of the cards next week.
Nice. All right. Thank you, Lynda. And then I guess we could talk about the book a little bit. I already said I like it. Just some other parts of the book. It has a timeline in there, which I really liked the timeline. I'm trying to find it. Where is it? I know there's a timeline. It shows like a tarot development timeline. Let me look at the contents. All right. Why can't I not find it when I want it?
I know that it talks about the major arcana each have a fairly extensive chapter to themselves.
Yes. Well,
so to be honest, I haven't actually looked at it in detail myself yet, but no doubt that it has the treasury of information.
Yes,
and
you
cards.
can see that there's a whole thing here.
Yes, so and I don't think it's known exactly when the very first cards came out. I think I suspect that they did come with the Middle Ages. There was the suppression of heresies and the Devil's Picture Book, so to speak. The Journey of the Fool was one way to encode the esoterica of the time without getting into trouble with the Inquisition.
Right.
Some people believe that they originated from ancient Egypt. I don't buy that myself, but then again, so there's nothing original under the sun. So it could be that these original designers were inspired by some very ancient record of a design that came from earlier times. But
yes.
I don't know. I think in the beginning it is basically from the Middle Ages anyway.
Yeah, I've heard you hear some dates around the 1400s. So, yeah, and I agree with the total Egypt thing. I mean, the only way that it has any relationship to Egypt is through alchemy, because alchemy came from Egypt. So if you want to do that kind of a stretch, but I do not think the Egyptians had cards like this and were using them. That's just.
Well, I don't think they did.
I mean, does that look Egyptian? No. I mean, you would see some fragments in there if it was Egyptian, and you just don't see it. I mean, it's like, no, I don't think so. No. So anyway, I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, I think the history of tarot is absolutely fascinating anyway.
Yes.
I don't think tarot would be what it is today without the input from Waite, and of course the Rider-Waite was a seminal pack. Yes. And it changed the way a lot of people thought about it.
Exactly.
But it's also been said that every tarot reader should create their own pack. Of course, most people don't have that time, but then there's a huge number of tarot decks proliferating at the moment. And of course, now you can go indie because thanks to Gamecraft and things like that, although marketing them is another matter.
Exactly. Okay, so this is the book, people. It's a very large book, but it's highly recommended.
I
Highly
think there's some
recommend
more
it.
coming out as well. So I think there will be one on astrology, and there may be some other books on other mysteries coming. So keep an eye on Tash and
Yeah.
join their newsletter to get further additions to these marvelous tomes. But I was very pleased to get the first one.
Yes. And I'll put a link to it in the description for people in case they are interested. Okay, so let me see, where are we on our timeline? I have to switch. Oh no, I have to share. That's what I have to do. Share. All right. Oh, I'm not. Can you see that? You can't see that. You can?
Yes.
Okay.
So it talked about the journey of the fool. And
Yes.
something we wanted to talk about this time is we have to remember that tarot is not all about, it's not necessarily just about divination. It can be used for meditation as well. You can meditate on a particular card. And you can also do tarot spells, and that's definitely your area at the moment. And afterwards, of course, I'll be able to talk about a book that will help people who want to create tarot spells.
Okay, perfect. But let's have you do a reading before we start that. So let me get you a question. All right. So we have a question. Angela asks, how will my new job with a new client go during September? Company is an interactive virtual event production company. Oh, that's interesting.
Right. Okay, I'll start pulling.
And I'll be ready with your cards.
The first card I've got is Veil,
Right.
beginning with V. Impact. Interesting. And then the last card being Serendipity. Nice set of cards.
Yeah.
Let's start.
Here we go.
Okay. So the first card, Veil, the message on Veil is what becomes hidden may be revealed, or subtle may be better. So with this, so to begin with then, you're going to find out one or two things that maybe you didn't know about the situation, and it would be worth knowing. And before you know the full facts, it's always better to play your hand carefully and not to overcommit with your ideas until you know exactly where things are. But again, the story is we got impact coming up next. And with this card, the message is having the greatest effect depends on the first moments of action. So once you get the clearer picture of where to go, but not until you get the clearer picture, then you need to really strike while the iron is hot for maximum effect. So it's saying that you don't want to show your hand or push things until you know exactly where things are. But when you do, then you should really go all guns to do what you want to do. So this is a good and powerful card for really making the maximum, really making the best impression from the very beginning, and also using the judgment to say and do the right things. And we're followed by serendipity. So serendipity, what may seem to be a mistake may in fact be a breakthrough. So that's interesting. So when you think creatively, well, things may appear to get blocked, things may appear to go wrong, you may appear to have said the wrong thing when you hoped you said the right thing, but you can turn it around. So once you've used the time in the beginning to get a sense of where things are and what's happening, then you will be able to turn even what seems to be a mistake to your advantage. And so I think that this September will be a very creative time for you in order to go forward with your aims, and to make the right impression, and to do all the things that you want to do. So,
Nice.
yeah, quite a good set of cards, I would say.
Yeah,
But
I like how it kind of warms up. It goes from a cool blue and then it like warms up.
yes, that too. So as I said, to begin in the early phases, you want to keep in the background and just play it by ear. But when you get a sense of what of where you are, then you can move forward with things. And okay, even after that, you might think, oh, perhaps I shouldn't have done that. Perhaps that was I made my move too quickly. Well, no, because you can turn it around.
Nice. Good one.
Yeah.
Good one. Okay. All right. So now let's get to the tarot spells. Share screen again. Okay. Here we go. Here we go. Okay. Right. Do you see the whole screen? Like is the slideshow full screen?
I see the image of the schedule, the Fool on the left, and then something on the right in the black box, tarot candle spells.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I didn't want it to look like that. So that's fine. We'll just do it like this. I think I did this last time. Okay. All right. So tarot candle spells. So we're going to talk about doing a candle spell with tarot cards. So here's an example of tarot candles that I have made, if it will play. Can you see that? Oh, no. Oh, man. It worked before.
Now I can see a,
Oh.
Are these the candles?
Yes. Can you see them?
Yes.
Okay.
They look more like fireworks, but there's some nice designs on them.
Okay. And let me show you another slide. Oh, that's the same one. Never mind. Here's the other one. Okay, so these tarot card candles, if you need images, I have free tarot images on my website, and you can download those from there. And so basically this is a kind of folk magic. If you've ever seen 7-day candles, you have those in Budapest, do you, Lynda? Do you have this?
Candles? Well, no, I don't actually. I tend not to buy candles at the moment, particularly. I've got lots of crystals and precious stones, semi-precious stones in a little box. I've got candles that I work with in my artwork, but I don't otherwise collect candles. So I'm as much of a novice. I'm a novice along with some of the other people watching at the moment right now.
Okay, because we can buy these 7-day candles. We can buy these in the grocery store here. So like, I don't know if it's necessarily that way. So some of them, there are plain ones, but there's like ones with saints and stuff. And like, we can buy them in the grocery store. So I don't know if that's true for everybody, but it's like not a problem. You could use a pillar candle. You could use whatever. We're going to talk about that. But that's why for me, it was just like a no brainer, because it's like, we can buy them in the grocery store. So this is a form of folk magic. I would consider it folk magic. And what folk magic is it just uses commonplace ingredients and simple elements that you can easily obtain. It's like, like kitchen witchery, if you've heard of that, it's like stuff that you find in your kitchen. This to me is folk magic. These candles fall in that same category. They're simple, elegant spells. Hoodoo is another form of folk magic, and that's a whole thing in itself. You can look that up and explore that if you want to. But it's just regular people magic. This is not, we're not, high priests and high priestesses of covens and stuff doing this. It's like, just like, we want to accomplish something, and so we're going to use stuff in our readily available in the environment to those ends. And so kind of the thing to keep in mind is that the gods don't speak English. So, this is the thing, like, if you're just like trying to speak to the gods in English, like, they probably won't understand you. So that's why we do these magical rituals and stuff, because it kind of acts things out. It uses symbology, and then they're like, oh, we understand that. So that's the idea behind this. So what you need are a 7-day candle, which I was just explaining. It's like these long glass pillar candles, which I can buy in the grocery store. Where you are, maybe you can, maybe you can't. You can order them on Amazon. A printed picture of a tarot card that you want to use. And we'll talk about how you're going to choose the tarot card in a second here. But just, print off, you can copy it, or you can download one and print it off, whatever you want to do. And then a printed or written spell or petition. And you can glue them on the back, the spell or the petition. But we're also going to talk about how a hoodoo petition works, and I would put that under the candle if I was going to do that. And then you can have these optional things, like you can have anointing oils. And so once again, with those, like, I tend to use like the hoodoo ones, and I just make them myself because they're made with stuff that you can easily put your hands on, herbs that you can put your hands on. Like, I had the picture of mint. So like, if you want to grow things and you want money, like, mint is a good one, and so you can find some mint. You can make your own mint oil. You don't need to buy it anywhere. If you have any kind of offerings, like I do a lot of astrological magic, like Venus loves chocolate. I'll tell you that, so have your chocolate ready, your rose petals, whatever. You can have any of that. Incense, food, if you're going to make food offering, drinks, I found Saturn likes black coffee. That's just another, but however it works for you, but you don't necessarily have to do that. So here are the candles that I'm talking about. These are the 7-day candles I'm talking about. And these ones on the left, like I said, we can buy these in the grocery store here. So the key here is to put yourself and your creative energy into it. So don't be so worried about, like, am I doing this right? And is this the perfect thing to do and all that? As long as you put yourself and your creative energy into it, that's how you're going to get your best results. So in order to pick a card, basically what you want to do is find a version of the tarot card that really inspires you and illustrates your goal. So, I have pictures there of the Rider-Waite. If you really love that deck, then use that deck. But you can also go online and look for something that's more illustrative of what it is you want to bring about. So, for example, if you want love, like, I would recommend the Empress, because she's related to Venus. And like I said, Venus loves chocolate. So just little hint there. You could use the Lover's card, but get a sexy Lover's card. Don't get the one like Lynda was talking about, where it's like the parent is standing there and kind of glaring at the kid for the choice they're making or whatever. Like that, you probably don't want that one. You want one of the more sexy Lover's cards. You could use the Two of Cups. Just go with whatever seems obvious or it seems to illustrate what you want. For money, you could use the 10 of Pentacles. You could use the Queen of Pentacles. You could use the Ace. For, enjoyment, you could use the Sun, the 3 of Cups, on and on and on. So just pick your card and you can copy it, print it out. Then the next part is where you're going to have your petition or your invocation or your ask. So on the left, we have, this was one that I did. So I just wrote that. And you can definitely write your own. And the more you decorate it and everything, the more of you put into it, the more powerful it is. Hoodoo, they use a lot of Bible verses and stuff in hoodoo. So if you tend to, have that bent towards the Bible, you can use Bible verses. In the second in the center, I have, this is from a book that I'll give you the exact book at the end, but it's from a spell a day. So you could find a spell and then just pull the magic words out of it and use the magic words. It's up to you. There's an infinity of things you could do here and just experiment. So these are hoodoo petitions. So they're done in a very specific way. And this one on the right, it comes from, and I'm also going to give you this reference to, what's her name again? I blanked out on her name, but I'll tell it to you at the end. But she's online. She's on Facebook. You can find her super easy. So these petitions, what you do is you write what you want, and then you turn the paper a quarter page, and then you can write like the command part of it, or you can write the second part of what you want. When they try to put two people together, they'll put the two names. Like you can see here on the bottom left, this is two sets of names. And so they link them together. And then you put your little spell around the edge. And that's how they did this one too. So this one is a money one. So it says, okay, it looks like $5,000 or $3,000. I can't see it very well. And then you turn it a quarter turn, then you write, come to me, come to me, come to me, come to me. They're doing this in nines. And then you turn another quarter turn and you sign it. And I always sign mine too. I always sign them. Like if I'm going to do a petition one, I do sign it. And then once again, you hem the spell in with your statement or your intention. And then you fold it up and you do the same quarter turn process. And so if you want something to come to you, you fold it towards yourself. If you want to push something away or banish it, you push it away from yourself. So you fold it, turn it a quarter turn, fold it, turn it a quarter turn, fold it. So you fold it 4 times. And then, like I said, with this kind of spell, I would put that under the candle. That's what I would do with that one. And so I have here, write the spell, or work the spell. So then what you will do is, and there's all kinds of stuff around with this. And I didn't want to go down a lot of rabbit holes and stuff with all of these different things you can do. But basically, you're going to clear your space, however you clear your space, whether you clear it with incense, with sound, with energy, with crystals, whatever you do that. Ground and center yourself, light the candle, lay out any offerings you may have. Then you can say your petition out loud repeatedly. And then your next option is to, these 7-day candles are made that you're supposed to just let them burn all the way through, like until they burn themselves out. But you may not want to do that because see at the bottom here where I say, be careful with candles. I've done it on this desk I'm sitting at. I've got several burn marks on this desk from candles that you think you're watching them, but you're really not watching them. And you could burn your house down very easily. So I'm just saying you may not want to like light a 7-day candle and leave the house. That might not be a good plan. So what you can do is you can just say, okay, I'm going to light this candle every day for 7 days and do this and repeat my spell or my intention here. Or you could do 10 days or whatever you decide you want to do. And that's basically how you work it. And then, you will see what happens. I have done road opening spells, which that's another, hoodoo thing. But I used the Hierophant card just because in a road opening spell, you use keys and there's keys on the tarot card. Otherwise, it doesn't really fit. But I was like, see, and these are the choices you can make. You can be like, yeah, but there's keys on the Hierophant card, so I'm going to use it. I've done Venus work, which, like I said, it's kind of Empress work, and like I got money. So I mean, it can happen, and I didn't even realize it till later. I was like, I got a bonus at work, and I was like, oh yeah, I did do that spell. I totally forgot about it. And the road opening spell, I was in a horrible job. And I mean, I did it for months, but I got out of that job. So, and magic is one of those things, who's to say that that wasn't going to happen anyway? I don't know. And it's all about whatever you believe, you know, and there's really no way to prove it. So it's just up to you. So here I have some resources. Hoodoo Delish. That's who I was trying to remember the name of. Hoodoo Delish. She's on Facebook. She's on YouTube. She's got plenty of stuff. Broken Prophet. He's also on YouTube. There is a website called Sphere and Sundry. That's really all astrology, but that can definitely be woven in here. Etsy. I know there's stuff on Etsy. Pinterest, you can find all kinds of spells and stuff in Pinterest if you look. And then Taschen Books, that's the book company of the book we were talking about earlier. That's why I put it right here. So let me see if I can open this and you can see it. I'm going to try to open the web page. I think you can't see it because it opened on my other screen, right? Can you not see the website? Lynda, can you see it or no?
I can see online resources.
Okay, it opened on my other. Let me see if I can do it. Can you see it now?
No, I just see the same page.
Yeah, because that's all right. Never mind. I would have to reshare my different screen, so I will not do that. But Sphere and Sundry, if you look it up online, Taschen Books, if you look it up online, you'll find it. You will find it. So then finally, we've got some book recommendations. Paper in My Shoe, that's about the hoodoo petitions. We have A Deck of Spells. It's Hoodoo Playing Card Magic in Rootwork and Conjure. That's by Professor Charles Porterfield. It's with playing cards. It's not tarot cards, although there is just a handful of tarot cards in there. But you can easily adjust for tarot cards. And this is an interesting one because they do things like they cut cards and sew them together and do all kinds of interesting stuff. Because I kind of feel like remember I was talking about how the gods don't speak English, but kind of the more activity you can put into it, the better. And then the last one is A Spell a Day by Cassandra Eason. I bought the book just because my name's Cassandra and her name's Cassandra. That's really true. That's why I bought the book. But it's a great book. I mean, you can find a spell for anything in this book. And they're really nice. They're really nice. And they're kind of like, after you read them, you're like, oh, wow, why didn't I think of that? So that's my spell presentation. And I will come back now if I can stop sharing. All right, let me come back to me. All right. Take my glasses off.
Okay, yeah. So definitely some food for thought there.
Yeah. Have you ever done any spells?
Yes, I have. I've got an interesting book that's very good for that. That's what I wanted to go on to. So for those people who've got an interest in that, here is a book which is an excellent resource for people who want to learn more about tarot spells. And it's written by Janina Renee. It came out in 1990. It's not a recent book, but you can probably pick one up on Amazon in case it is out of print. There might well be more recent books talking about that. And this book also talks about the kind of crystals, the colors, the materials that you might need whenever you do a specific spell. And it's an interest, to me it was interesting because it really brought home to me that there are more uses for tarot than just using them to do readings. And in a way that can give a much stronger sense of autonomy and control as well. You're not just a slave to the cards. I don't think anybody should ever be a slave to the cards anyway. The idea is that the cards just tell you what you already know, or they give you an angle on things that maybe you hadn't considered quite so much. But I know that there are people who do a reading when they want to cross the road and they say, oh no, it's the 5 of Cups. I don't think I'm going to do that today. And so in a way, you have to be careful not to allow the cards to put you into a sense of being powerless. But here, you can use any card to put into a spread. And there are several spreads recommended, which you can then use to meditate on for your spell. And And so the spreads in particular, I think, are very useful. Obviously, you choose your own pack to do that. So tarot spells, Janina Renee. And I think in particularly, that's a very useful resource. And the spells could be on health and healing, jobs and job hunting, if you're looking for a job, how to improve your health, things on luck, things on meditation, on motivation, how to deal with obstacles, how to overcome obstacles presented by individuals. So maybe maybe you're the problem rather than the other person, but you can use these spells, and there's an affirmation each time that you can read, and that's useful as well. And there's spells on how to deal with quarrels, stress, walking away from people, finding love. So anything you want. It mentions incense, flowers, coins, photos, mirrors, anything that could be used, strings, necklaces, water as well. And you mentioned using the written word, and the written word is also mentioned. So very useful. Kitchen sink magic is what's as very much along the themes that you were talking about as well. So quite relevant in many ways. Well, interesting book anyway.
Nice, nice. Okay, all right. So I think we have more readings to do. So how many did you do? Do you know? I've lost track.
Oh God, it's 2. Maybe let me try and think. 2, I think so far I've done. So
okay, all right. So one more, and then I kind of think I did 3, but I'm not sure. I'll think about it while you're doing yours.
Okay.
So let me switch to the card cam. All right, and so for Lynda, we need a question. All right, so and Anurata says, what should I do to become an accurate tarot reader and numerologist?
Right, let's see what we got. So number 1, I've got bird's eye view.
All right.
For the second card, I'm pulling awakening. And for card number 3, this one again. No, it's a different one, beginnings. So as before, it should be able to tell a story. So bird's eye view to begin with. From a higher perspective, what seems big may be far pettier. And with this card, it seems that when you get to a meditative state, a higher state of awareness, so to speak, you will get a better sense of what really matters. You probably have to, I would recommend meditating to some degree to get this awareness in the first place of what you need to do in order to reach this level of awareness. And this will allow you to hone in on what is most important to people. So refining your intuition would be to keep on getting into this meditative state of awareness. And the next card it got, very positive, is awakening. From void and emptiness, there is now a full and busy world. So what may seem to be fussy and random images and not having much sense, again, it's a bit like looking into one of these pictures that were popular in the 70s. When you look closely beyond the surface, then you can see a whole lot more in 3 dimensions. I don't know if you remember those images, but that's the same
Those
kind
are
of
awesome.
yeah, and that's the same kind of a thing. So it's very much about reaching that level of awareness where you can really see the deeper patterns. And the last card we've got is beginnings. A revolutionary idea. I don't know what this is doing here, to be honest. But anyway, we'll go on. A revolutionary idea is never welcome in the beginning. Now that tells me that you need to leave behind your preconceptions. So once you don't want to keep going back to the book, you need to have a sense of which each, if you haven't already, learn fully the symbolism of all the tarot cards as well as the numbers, because if you're always feeling that you need to go back to a book or to get some kind of reference sheets, I'm not saying that in some circumstances it doesn't help, but if you feel that you're relying all the time on a source outside yourself, you never get anywhere with it. You have to be able to rely primarily on your own understanding of the symbolism of the cards and the numbers, and then allowing your intuition to take you to the next step. And quite often, the message may be something rather different to what you originally thought. So again, your preconceptions here are the killer. You have to get closer to what the message is on a more subtle level than that. So I see it's more about, yes, you need to study to get to the understanding of all the cards. There's no getting away from that. So if you don't like going to the books, none of learning things by heart, that's something you can't avoid. And then it's the meditation as well. And then once you are in a calm, relaxed state of mind, it will come to you. And then the voice of clairvoyance, whatever it is, will speak to you. So that's what
Nice.
I've got for you today.
Good. I don't know. There's something about your oracle cards. I don't know what it is. Because I'm not a super big oracle card fan just in general. But I don't know. There's something different about yours that just, I don't know. I guess they're not all like, I don't know. So many of them are like unicorns, and that may be a very skewed perspective on it, but they're like, you know what I mean? They're just like, oh, there's a unicorn, and I don't know. I have a hard time getting into a lot of our oracle cards. I'm like, where is this? I just don't know where it's going or where it's trying to go, or I don't know. But yours are not like that. They're not like that.
The idea is that the image that's the abstract colors, combinations of patterns and images, a bit like looking at clouds, I suppose. All of a sudden, the ideas come from that, and
Yes.
That's how it works. So the colors, as are with the tarot card design, actually, the chalice. So color symbolism, pattern symbolism are very important parts of a tarot card. But here it's pure abstract. It's a little bit further than the tarot, and it's really, hopefully, speaking directly to your mind by using the images from within. This is the very first edition. In time, I might produce second editions, third editions, and perhaps add a card, maybe replace different cards or have a slightly different card, and tweak the image a little bit, and for further and further refinements of the original idea. But as it is, its first edition then may in the end be quite rare, because I have moved on to something else.
Right. How many cards are in this deck?
40. And I like 40 because making rows of 8 by 5 seems to work very well with it, or 10 by 4 for that matter.
Gotcha. Okay, cool, awesome. Okay, well, I'm going to do one more because I don't know. I just lost count. I should have been making little score marks on a paper or something, because I don't know. I don't know how many I did, so I'm just going to do another one. So I'm going to do Cassandra. Another Cassandra asks, will I move into my new house this year? So I'm wondering if it's being built and it's not finished, or if they're just wanting to get a new house. I don't know, but we'll answer the question anyway. Okay. So Cassandra, the message for you is from the Queen of Swords. Okay, so the Queen of Swords is very direct, and she states her needs very clearly. And so she's talking about moving into this house, the Four of Wands, the completion, the success here. All right, and then we have the Fool come up. All right, so there's So she's talking about, the queen is talking about completing this house, yet there's a certain amount of letting go and I want to say starting something new. Let's see what the final word here. Okay. And then it's saying build your nest. Okay. So the queen is saying, be clear about what you want, celebrate your success. Don't be afraid to start something new and feather your nest. So the question was, will I move into my new house this year? So I would say the advice on that one is to be ready for changes. There might be some some twist or turn. There's something unexpected and that sends you off in a different direction. But to feather your nest. So maybe this year, maybe next year. I think it should happen this year. But it's gonna somehow spark off a whole new page and a whole new chapter and a whole new direction. So I hope that is helpful to Cassandra. I was taking a drink. Okay, so I'm going to come back here.
Okay, so can I lead on to something from there?
So with the cards?
Well, anything. So if you need a drink.
Yes, I have my tea right here.
Ah, lucky. I should have thought about that myself.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I think that's it. I think we did it all. It's amazing. Yay! Psychic Fair number 2. Boom.
Well, I hope you all enjoyed it, and I hope you all can take away something interesting there. And look forward to seeing some more people at our next Psychic Fair.
Yep, exactly. And there's going to be a bunch of links in the description, a bunch to stuff we talked about. So there you have it. All right. See you next time.
Okay. Bye-bye then.